In the cold, silent depths of space, the UES Thunderbolt glided like a silent predator. Captain Hyun Park stood motionless, her eyes locked on the holographic display that stretched across the bridge. Her crew moved with a precision that seemed almost mechanical, each member understanding their role without need for unnecessary words. The alien fleet approached slowly, their massive ships casting long shadows against the starlit backdrop. Admiral Kirill of the Outer Rim Confederacy believed this would be another routine engagement. His species had dominated galactic conflicts for centuries, and they viewed humans as nothing more than a new, inexperienced civilization. Hyun's fingers danced across the holographic controls. Years of training, countless simulations, and an intuitive understanding of combat dynamics guided her movements. The human warship systems hummed with a quiet, deadly energy. Advanced sensors mapped the approaching alien vessels, calculating trajectories and potential attack vectors in milliseconds. The first wave of alien ships launched their initial attack, a standard formation that had worked perfectly in hundreds of previous conflicts. Plasma torpedoes streaked through space, their blue-white energy leaving trailing lines of light. Any other species would have attempted standard evasive maneuvers, but not the humans. The Thunderbolt didn't move. Instead, its adaptive nano-armor began to shift and change, molecules rearranging themselves with impossible speed. When the plasma torpedoes struck, they didn't explode against the ship's hull. Instead, the energy was absorbed, redirected, transformed. Kirill watched in disbelief as his most powerful weapons became nothing more than harmless light shows against the human vessel. Impossible, he muttered, his communication translator converting his native language into standard galactic speech. Hyun allowed herself a slight smile. The first rule of combat wasn't about shooting. It was about understanding. Her tactical team had spent years studying alien combat strategies, breaking them down to their most basic components, and then developing counters that would seem almost magical to traditional military minds. The human response came swift and surgical. Quantum-entangled projectiles launched from the Thunderbolt's weapon systems. These weren't typical missiles or energy weapons. They were intelligent munitions that could change course, adapt, and strike with pinpoint accuracy. 3 alien battleships disappeared in rapid succession, not destroyed in massive explosions, but simply gone. Broken down at the molecular level, their complex systems rendered into basic atomic components. Communication channels erupted with panic. Alien commanders screamed orders that became increasingly desperate. Their perfectly planned attack dissolved into chaos within minutes. Hyun's voice remained calm. "Target resolution complete," she said quietly to her tactical officer, who nodded in acknowledgement. The battle wasn't about firepower, it was about understanding. Humans had transformed warfare from a test of strength to a problem of intelligent solution. Where other species saw conflict as a complex dance, humans saw it as a mathematical equation to be solved. As the last alien ships retreated, leaving behind fragments of destroyed vessels, Captain Park knew this was more than just a battle. This was a message. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and they would be defined by their ability to solve problems with unprecedented efficiency. The Thunderbolt's systems began cleaning up the battlefield, collecting data, analyzing every millisecond of the engagement. Each piece of information would be studied, understood, and used to develop even more advanced strategies. Admiral Kirill's communication came through, a mix of anger, fear, and reluctant respect. "What are you?" he demanded. Hyun's response was simple and direct. "We are human." Those 2 words would echo through galactic communication channels for years to come. A simple statement that carried the weight of a species ready to define its own destiny among the stars. The Thunderbolt turned slowly, its nano-adaptive hull gleaming against the darkness of space. Another patrol, another potential conflict, another opportunity to demonstrate that humanity was no longer just another species in the vast cosmic landscape. They were something entirely new. In a small research laboratory, hidden beneath the mountains of New Colorado, Jae Kim stared at rows of holographic displays. Scattered coffee cups and energy drink containers surrounded his workspace, evidence of countless sleepless nights dedicated to pushing the boundaries of human technological understanding. The data before him represented something extraordinary. Alien combat strategies, collected from hundreds of galactic encounters, were being systematically dismantled by human computational algorithms. Where other researchers saw complex patterns, Jay saw opportunity. His latest innovation wasn't just a weapon system. It was a living, breathing, computational organism that could predict enemy movements before the enemy even understood their own strategy. Machine learning taken to its absolute extreme. Military analysts had initially laughed when Jay first presented his research. A young scientist claiming he could create an AI system that could outthink millennia-old alien tactical approaches seemed like scientific fantasy. Now those same analysts watched in stunned silence. The core of Jay's breakthrough was shockingly simple. Instead of trying to match alien technological complexity, he studied their fundamental weakness: predictability. Every species had patterns, rhythms, standard operational procedures. Humans broke those patterns constantly. His computational system, which the military had nicknamed Prometheus, could analyze millions of potential scenarios in microseconds. It didn't just predict enemy movements. It created thousands of potential counter-strategies simultaneously. During test simulations, Prometheus consistently defeated advanced alien battle algorithms, not by overwhelming force, but by understanding the underlying logic of their systems and then systematically dismantling that logic. Military commanders began to understand what Jay had known all along. Warfare wasn't about technology. It was about thinking differently. The first real-world test came during a minor border skirmish near the Epsilon Quadrant. A small human reconnaissance vessel encountered a patrol of Kraxan warships, a species known for their ruthless efficiency and advanced sensor technologies. Prometheus was integrated into the ship's combat systems. When the Kraxan vessels launched their initial attack, something unprecedented happened. The human ship didn't just defend itself. It predicted and countered every single weapon launch before the Kraxan could even complete their targeting sequences. Missile trajectories were altered mid-flight, energy weapon frequencies were instantly jammed, and defensive systems activated milliseconds before any threat materialized. The entire engagement lasted less than 3 minutes. When communication logs were later reviewed, Kraxan commanders reported experiencing something close to technological terror. Their most advanced systems had been rendered completely ineffective by an intelligence they couldn't comprehend. Jay watched the combat footage with a mixture of professional pride and scientific curiosity. Each frame represented not just a victory, but a fundamental shift in understanding technological warfare. Military researchers began calling it the human uncertainty principle, the ability to be fundamentally unpredictable while maintaining absolute computational precision. No other species in known galactic history had demonstrated such a capability. The implications were staggering. Technological superiority wasn't about having the most advanced weapons. It was about having the most adaptable thinking system. Prometheus was quickly integrated into multiple military platforms: combat ships, defensive satellites, strategic planning centers. Anywhere that required split-second decision-making found themselves transformed by this new approach to computational warfare. Alien species began to realize something terrifying. Humans weren't just another civilization to be categorized or controlled. They were a completely different approach to technological evolution. J. Kim continued his work, largely unaware of the massive geopolitical shifts his research was creating. To him, it was simply about solving a complex problem, understanding systems, breaking them down to their most fundamental components, and then rebuilding them in ways no one had previously imagined. As another cup of cold coffee sat untouched, beside him, computer screens flickered with endless lines of code, each line representing another small step in humanity's technological revolution. The universe was about to change, and it would happen, not with a massive explosion, but with lines of elegant revolutionary code. The massive conference hall stood silent, filled with representatives from dozens of alien civilizations. Their translator devices hummed softly, creating a background noise that felt both mechanical and tense. Admiral Wu Sung walked into the room, his steps measured and calm. He wasn't just a military leader. He was a message. The alien delegates represented species that had existed for thousands of years. The Tarkonian representatives with their crystalline exoskeletons. The Quantum Collective from the Andromeda sector. Each believed they understood galactic politics. Each was about to be proven wrong. "We have no interest in conflict," Wu began, his voice steady and clear. "But we will protect our interests with absolute certainty." The translation devices converted his words, but something else was being communicated. The quiet confidence. The absolute certainty that meant something beyond mere words. Behind Wu, holographic displays began showing combat footage. Human warships destroying entire alien fleets without losing a single vessel. Technological systems being dismantled faster than they could be activated. A level of warfare that seemed almost magical. The Tarkonian representative shifted uncomfortably. His species had dominated galactic conflicts for centuries. Now they watched humans demonstrate a level of technological superiority that made their own systems look primitive. "You cannot be serious," mumbled the Quantum Collective's lead diplomat. "These recordings must be manipulated." Wu simply raised an eyebrow. No additional explanation was needed. The footage spoke for itself. Humanity had discovered something fundamental about warfare that other species had missed. It wasn't about having the biggest weapons. It was about understanding systems so completely that weapons became almost unnecessary. The computational algorithms developed by human researchers could predict and counter alien strategies faster than the aliens could even understand they were being countered. Each military engagement became less a battle and more a mathematical equation being solved in real time. Political tensions grew with each passing moment. Some alien representatives wanted immediate action. Others recognized the dangerous potential of direct conflict with humans. "We do not seek territory," Wu continued. "We seek respect, understanding, potential cooperation." The subtext was clear. Humans were offering a choice: peaceful engagement or total technological annihilation. Diplomatic channels had never encountered such a direct approach. Most species spent years dancing around potential conflicts, creating elaborate political mechanisms to avoid direct confrontation. Humans simplified everything. The Tarkonian representative's communication device began overheating from the complex translation requirements. How do you translate a message that was more about intention than actual words? Wu's final statement would be remembered for generations. "We are here, we are prepared, choose wisely." No threats, no dramatic gestures, just a simple fundamental truth. The conference hall felt like it was holding its collective breath. Alien species that had believed themselves technologically superior were now facing a civilization that had completely rewritten the rules of engagement: quantum computational systems, adaptive nanotechnologies, predictive combat algorithms. These weren't just weapons, they were a fundamental reimagining of technological potential. Some delegates saw opportunity, others saw an existential threat. But everyone understood one thing: humanity was no longer a minor species to be overlooked. They were a force that would reshape galactic understanding. As the conference concluded, Admiral Wu Sung walked out with the same calm he had entered. Behind him, alien representatives looked shell-shocked. They had come expecting a typical diplomatic engagement. They had received a demonstration of total technological superiority. The message was clear. Humanity had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same again. The space around Epsilon Quadrant burned with silent violence. Commander Yunji Lee watched the incoming alien fleet with cold calculation. 500 massive warships approached, their weapons charging with enough energy to obliterate entire planetary systems. 47 human vessels stood in their path. The alien commanders laughed. Mathematical probability suggested total human destruction. Their computational models showed a 99.8% chance of complete victory. Humanity would be erased in moments. They didn't understand human resolve. Yoon's fingers moved across tactical displays. Each movement was precise, each decision calculated beyond normal computational limits. The human ships weren't just machines. They were living, breathing combat organisms with one singular purpose: survival. Quantum-entangled weapon systems activated. These weren't ordinary missiles. They were intelligent projectiles that could change course, adapt, and strike with surgical precision. Where alien weapons followed predictable trajectories, human munitions seemed to dance through space with impossible intelligence. The first wave of alien attacks came. Plasma torpedoes larger than small cities streaked toward human vessels. Any other species would have attempted traditional evasive maneuvers. Humans did something different. The human ships didn't move away. They moved toward the incoming attacks. Adaptive nano-armor began shifting molecular structures, transforming defensive capabilities into offensive weapons. Incoming energy attacks were absorbed, redirected, transformed into counterstrikes. 3. Alien battleships disappeared in the first 30 seconds, not destroyed in massive explosions but simply dismantled. Broken down at the molecular level, their complex systems rendered into basic atomic components. Alien communication channels erupted with panic. Commanders screamed impossible orders. Their perfectly planned attack dissolved into chaos within minutes. Yoon's voice remained calm. "Target resolution complete," she said quietly to her tactical team. The battle wasn't about firepower. It was about understanding. Humans had transformed warfare from a complex dance into a mathematical equation to be solved with absolute precision. Adaptive AI systems predicted alien movements before their commanders could even conceptualize them. Weapon systems adjusted, faster than thought. Each human vessel moved like a coordinated organism, anticipating not just enemy actions, but potential enemy thinking. Massive alien vessels began to crumble, not through brute force, but through systematic, intelligent dismantling. Their most advanced technological systems became nothing more than complicated puzzles for human computational algorithms to solve. 53 minutes into the engagement, 497 alien vessels had been neutralized. The remaining 3 attempted retreat. They didn't make it. Quantum communication systems tracked their every movement. Predictive algorithms calculated escape routes before the aliens could even input coordinates. Each attempted escape was met with surgical precision. When the final alien vessel disappeared, no massive explosion marked its destruction. Just a simple, clean disappearance, as if it had never existed. Commander Yoon-ji Lee reviewed the combat data. Perfect mission efficiency. 0 human casualties. Complete mission objective achieved. The Galactic Confederation would receive the report. They would understand something fundamental. Humanity was not just another species to be categorized or controlled. They were a force of absolute mathematical certainty. Communication logs would later show alien commanders experiencing something close to technological terror. Their most advanced systems had been rendered completely ineffective by an intelligence they couldn't comprehend. As the human fleet began cleaning up the battlefield, collecting data, and analyzing every millisecond of the engagement, something became perfectly clear. This wasn't just a battle. This was a message. Humanity had arrived, and they would define the rules of engagement. The vast emptiness of space remained silent, bearing witness to a fundamental shift in galactic understanding. 47 human vessels had just rewritten every known rule of warfare. The Galactic Confederation headquarters stood silent. Holographic displays showed the complete destruction of their most advanced battle fleet. Alien representatives looked shell-shocked, their centuries of military superiority crumbling in moments. Humanity had changed everything. President Kim Dae-sung walked into the central chamber. His presence alone seemed to compress the massive room's atmosphere. Behind him, combat reports detailed how 47 human vessels had obliterated 500 of the most advanced alien warships without losing a single human life. "We did not seek this conflict," he said quietly. The translation devices struggled to capture the full weight of his words. The Tarkonian representative, his crystalline exoskeleton trembling slightly, asked the question everyone wanted to understand. "What are you?" Daesung's response was simple: "We are human." Those two words carried more weight than entire diplomatic treaties. They represented a fundamental shift in galactic understanding. Humanity wasn't just another species to be categorized or controlled. They were something entirely different. Computational analyses began flooding communication channels. Every major galactic civilization started reviewing human technological capabilities. The results were terrifying and fascinating. Adaptive nanotechnologies, quantum computational systems that could predict enemy movements before those movements were even conceived. Weapon systems that transformed defensive capabilities into offensive strategies in microseconds. The military strategists from various alien civilizations discovered something profound. Humans didn't just fight differently, they thought differently. Where other species saw complex tactical approaches, humans saw simple mathematical equations. Where alien civilizations spent centuries developing intricate defense systems, humans created intelligent combat algorithms that could dismantle those systems faster than they could be activated. Diplomatic channels began shifting. Some alien representatives wanted immediate negotiations. Others considered total war. But everyone understood one fundamental truth: humanity had changed the rules of engagement. Research facilities across human territories continued pushing technological boundaries. Scientists like J. Kim weren't just developing weapons, they were reimagining the very concept of technological potential. The battle at Epsilon Quadrant became more than a military engagement. It was a philosophical statement. Humanity was saying something fundamental about intelligence, adaptation, and potential. Alien civilizations that had existed for thousands of years suddenly felt obsolete. Their most advanced computational systems looked like children's toys compared to human technological capabilities. Commander Yoon-ji Lee, who led the historic battle, received multiple commendations, but she understood something deeper. This wasn't about individual achievement. This was about a species discovering its true potential. Communication logs showed alien military commanders experiencing something close to existential terror. Their most sophisticated systems had been rendered completely ineffective by an intelligence they couldn't comprehend. The Galactic Confederation began internal discussions. How do you negotiate with a species that can defeat your most advanced military capabilities without breaking a sweat? President Daesung's final transmission to the alien representatives was both a warning and an invitation. "We seek cooperation, not conflict." Those words carried multiple meanings: a promise, a threat, a potential path forward. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, not through conquest, not through aggression, but through an unprecedented understanding of technological potential. The universe watched, waiting to see what humans would do next. Space remained silent, bearing witness to a fundamental shift in galactic civilization. 47 human vessels had just rewritten every known rule of warfare, diplomacy, and technological understanding.